What is going on, everybody? We are back with another video. I say we. This time I'm joined by Mr. Ken LeBay from LeBay Arome 2.0.
Thank you for having me, John.
Dude, it's good to have you. I feel like this has been a long time in the making, so it's good to finally have you in the store. Ken flew in the other day, came to the store, we hung out a bit, and we're like, okay, we need to do a collaboration video. So we decided we're going to do a buying guide for Fragrance Du Bois. We're going to give you guys 2 unisex fragrances, 2 masculine fragrances, and 2 feminine fragrances. These 6 fragrances are some of our favorites from the Fragrance Du Bois line, and it was a little bit of a challenge to pick 6 because the line is huge.
I wanted to pick 15, but okay, we settled on 6.
Yeah, we tried. We're going to try to keep the video under 45 minutes long. So we'll see.
I don't know if we're going to do that, but we'll see.
We'll see what we can do. So without further ado, let's hop into the list. All right, so we are going to start this list off with the unisex category. These fragrances really right down the middle, masculine and feminine. Like anybody can wear these. They work on anybody. I don't feel like they go too much in one direction. No. They just smell incredible.
They really do. The first one we have for you is one that I am now just getting acquainted with because I smelled it for the first time the other day, but is quickly becoming something that I need to have in my collection.
It is absolutely beautiful. I've been wearing it a lot this summer because it works great in the high heat, but I think it works all year round. This is Lovers by Fragrance Du Bois. This is from their unisex collection, so you can see it has Pour Homme there and Pour Femme there. This really is straight down the middle unisex. The notes in this are passion fruit, plum, ginger, bergamot, rose, saffron, jasmine, patchouli, cashmere wood, cedar wood, vetiver, and sandalwood.
You had me at the plum and the passion fruit?
Same.
You really had me there. I didn't need to know anything else.
I'm with you. And I feel like there's a lot of fruits at the top of this fragrance. Yeah. I don't find it to be like insanely fruity. It's not fruity in the way that some fruity fragrances go very sweet.
Yeah.
This does not go very overly sweet. There's a slight sweetness to it, but I feel like there's more of a dry, woody component to it, and you kind of get some bright, like ethereal feelings from the fruits. And to me, the star of the show is the sandalwood in the base. There's a ton of sandalwood in this fragrance.
There's a ton of sandalwood, but it comes off very clean as well.
Yes, it does.
This is white linen shirt, crisply ironed in the high summer heat.
100%.
Which is outside your door right now because it is brutally hot.
It's hotter than the devil's toenail out in Nashville. But this cuts through the heat.
Yes.
But I think it's such a good performer that if you wanted to wear this in the fall and winter, you can absolutely reach for it in those colder temperatures.
Yeah.
I get 10 plus hours out of this. If I get it on clothes, it will last well into the next day. Mm-hmm. So no slouch in performance. One that I think we would both recommend that you guys check out. This is Lovers by Fragrance Du Bois. All right, so next up in the unisex category is a fragrance that might catch some people by surprise. Because I think for me, when I first heard that this fragrance was coming out, I'm like, oh, it's probably going to be very feminine.
Very feminine. But I was wrong.
We were both wrong.
Oh.
This is the collaboration with Miss Demi Rawling. This is Minuit at Demi. The notes in this fragrance are cardamom, pimento, bergamot, caramel, coffee, vanilla, Madagascar vanilla, so 2 kinds of vanilla in this fragrance. Tobacco, cinnamon, musk, cashmerean, a liquor accord, cedar, and vetiver.
Yeah, you had me at tobacco as well.
Yep.
I did a full video on this a while ago. Demi knows my love for this. Everybody who has seen my channel knows my love for this fragrance because it is completely unisex and it is completely what I like to call accessible.
Yes.
And for myself and my platform and people with disabilities, accessibility in fragrance is absolutely key. You don't want to wear something that's overly complicated.
Yep.
You don't want to wear something that's just going to complicate your life more. So this fragrance right here has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Because it's very accessible, very wearable, and I love it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like We were talking about this earlier, but I don't always gravitate to overly gourmand fragrances, but there are a ton of gourmand aspects to this fragrance. You have the caramel, you have the coffee. It is sweet, but it's not that overly
juvenile,
sickeningly sweet.
I want to get noticed sweet.
Totally. It is a luxurious sweetness. This is a very luxurious fragrance. It smells expensive. It smells like something you would expect from Fragrance Du Bois.
Yes.
And expect from Demi Rawling. Just if you've watched her channel and you kind of get an idea of her taste, this is kind of like, it's just a perfect match. They knock this out of the park. Let me get...
Home run.
I might pronounce this name wrong, but the perfumer is Stephanie Bayana?
I think...
I'm butchering that, I'm sure. And I apologize if I am, but...
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Yes, I'm sorry, but all that to say, Demi and the team at Fragrance Du Bois nailed this fragrance. It is got those gourmand touches, but there's a levity to this.
Yeah.
There's a softness, there's a slight powderiness to this.
But this is also like sort of commanding. It's a soft, commanding fragrance. You speak with your actions and not your words.
100%. And I think like you can wear this in a lot of different occasions. To me, this feels like a cozy fall and winter kind of a scent. It just is very comforting, very warming. It definitely has that like sensuality and very like sexy kind of scent profile. And I get great performance out of this, like 8 hours plus every time. And now that this heat will shortly be leaving us in Nashville.
Hopefully.
I'm going to be reaching for this a ton in the fall and winter.
Yes.
Absolutely loving it. So last up on the unisex list is Minuit at Demi by Fragrance Du Bois. So I guess all of these fragrances are from Fragrance Du Bois, so I probably don't need to say by Fragrance Du Bois in every single take that we give.
But the brand is so great that you just want to say their name.
You just want to say the name. I feel fancy.
It rolls off the tongue.
Yes, exactly. Fragrance Du Bois.
Fragrance Du Bois.
So next up, we're moving into the masculine territory. So these fragrances are decidedly masculine. They have a darker edge to them. They're very strong. You brought up what term? Brute force.
Brute force. Popeye punching you in the face after eating spinach.
Yeah.
And
That's exactly what this is. This is a nuclear fragrance. It's so beast mode. It's the strongest, I would say, in this list, maybe except for the next one we're going to talk about. It's probably...
They're probably tied.
Neck and neck. The first fragrance up in the masculine list is PM, Producer Michael. I'm just going to come out and say this. I told you this the other day. This is my favorite leather fragrance that I have ever smelled.
Yes.
It just is. Like, it is so regal and so sophisticated. And it smells like the inside of a luxury car, which I think was their aim with this fragrance.
Yes.
But it doesn't smell like a luxury car that I've ever been in because I've never been in a Bugatti or a McLaren or a Lamborghini. But that's what I would imagine. You roll up in something like that, you're going to want to smell like this.
That's what I imagine the seats to those cars would smell like.
Without question. It's so good. So the perfumer is Sahraa. He's done a lot of fragrances from Fragrance Du Bois. And the notes in this are Indian tuberose, you have floral notes, juniper berries, cardamom, lemon, leather, cedar, orris root, Indonesian patchouli, labdanum, woody notes, benzoin, and amber. I find the fact that tuberose is the #1 note in this, or the first top note in this, that's so crazy to me.
No, that cannot be. They had to have buried that note.
Yeah,
Please
fellas,
don't say that's first, because I do not smell that first at all.
This is like something that I would not even come close to classifying as a white floral or a tuberose fragrance. This is hyper masculine.
Yeah.
It is slightly animalic. If you've tried a fragrance like Koyam by Ordo Parisi, that really animalic, dark, kind of leather, it's got this very clean muskiness running through it.
Yeah.
This is a much more wearable version of something like Koyam.
Right.
If you like Koyam, but it's just a little too aggressive, a little too animalic, this is one you have to check out because I think the performance is on par with something like Koyam. But this is just a bit more green.
Yeah.
There's slight fruity touches in there.
Now I have to take a sniff.
Yeah, you absolutely.
I have to take a sniff.
Go for it.
Because it's just...
If you're wanting to come across professional, assertive, masculine, dominating, this is a fragrance you want to reach for because it is all of those things and more. It is just...
How do you get tuberose on top?
Yeah, the tuberose might add to like a slight creaminess in the fragrance, but all in all, like it's not overly detectable.
No, not at all.
In there, I definitely get more of that musky, clean. There's like a clean musk running through it with that leather that's got some sharpness to it. It's got some green elements for sure. I think this is a home run for Fragrance Du Bois.
It is a home run. It is not a home run for the heat.
No.
I don't wear this in the summer.
Yeah, this is one you might want to reserve. If you're feeling daring, you could wear it in summer nights and pull it off. But overall, I would say because of the potency, you're probably going to want to reserve this for the colder temperatures.
Fall, winter, spring.
This is a really nice you could wear this, I think you could wear this casually in the right setting. Yeah. Maybe dressed well, but this also has a really formal edge to it as
black tie formal.
Black tie formal. This is a special fragrance, so I think like a special occasion would suit this really well. We could go on about this fragrance for a long time, but I think we'll cap our thoughts here. This is PM, an absolutely incredible fragrance from Fragrance Du Bois. All right, so next up on the masculine list is one that is, I think, head and shoulders the most masculine fragrance in the Fragrance Du Bois lineup.
Punch you in the face, masculine.
Punch you in the, this will knock you out. This is Sara. Now, this fragrance is, we were talking to producer Michael, how that's very formal and regal. And this is like black tie only.
Black tie only.
This is
Kingdom of Bahrain.
Exactly.
Like
to wear this casually, you have to be like a Saudi prince, I would say.
You really do. And only a Saudi prince could do this casually.
Yes, and also it's a very high price tag, so there's that as well. But the notes in this fragrance are grapefruit, rose, geranium, patchouli, jasmine, oud, saffron, amber, black pepper, vanilla, and sandalwood. And we were just kind of talking about, I feel like the main players in this, my nose picks up on a lot of the florals, and then the oud, and what else was I smelling out of this that kind of stuck out to me? The oud, the saffron, and I think the jasmine really are coming out to the forefront. They are coming out.
I picked up from my nose the black pepper.
That as well. That as well.
That is just...
And sometimes florals can go a bit peppery as well. I think that is, there's kind of that element too. But yes, it's very peppery, very spicy. The florals are in here, but it does not, I mean, this is dominantly masculine. So the florals do not push it to any sort of feminine territory. I think the jasmine with the oud kind of gives it a slight animalic feel to it. Jasmine can tend to go animalic dependent upon how it's used.
And if you guys know my content, you guys know that florals and I have a very complicated relationship.
Same.
So I'm glad that the florals really don't come out to play here, and that it's just unashamedly masculine.
It really is. This
holds no punches.
It does not. And this is classified as an amber fragrance. So it is absolutely that. It's ambery, it's resinous. There's not a whole lot of sweetness. It's not like a sweet amber.
No, it's not.
It's a dry amber. And the florals mixed with the oud and the saffron really give it that kind of air of Middle Eastern royalty, which is what I think that they were going with this fragrance. They nailed it on the head.
The only fragrance that I have come close to comparing this with, and it's not even a fair comparison because Mask Milano Tango. comes to mind.
Yeah, I could see that. Like
It comes to mind, but it's not a fair comparison.
No, they're not similar in scent necessarily, but they're in the same kind of amber family where Mask Milano Tango has a high dose of incense, and you get that kind of more dry. It is a bit sweeter than Sahraa, but I know what you mean. It's kind of in that spicy, dark amber territory.
Are you surprised that I weaved Cecile Zarokian in here
Somehow, she's got to be brought up somehow, the queen herself. But this, Sahraa is, like we said, it is very masculine. This is a beast mode fragrance. It's going to last
1 to 2 sprays.
1 to 2 sprays will set you up for the day. This is hyper potent. It is a rather aggressive scent profile, but it mixes like aggressive and also very like it's got a sexiness about it.
It's aggressive and endearing.
Yeah, I agree. And
you want to get closer.
yes, you do. It will have somebody kind of like if somebody gets a whiff of you, they're gonna want to know what the heck you have on, because I have not smelled anything quite like this.
No, not at all.
They did it absolutely so well. It's very complex. It's very long lasting. It's very special occasion appropriate, which is everything you want in a fragrance like this at this price point. You can assure that no one will be smelling like you if you have Sahraa on your skin. So that is it for the masculine category. Last one of the day in the masculine category is Sahraa. Okay, so now we are moving into the feminine territory. So we're talking to you ladies out there. And we picked a couple of fragrances that we feel are really beautiful and would smell amazing on a lady. First up is Siberian Rose. This is really beautiful and it's really potent. Like it's potent, but it has a softness to it, to where it's not aggressive. It's just very long lasting.
You're not going to fill up the room.
No.
But you are going to leave an amazing scent trail.
Amazing scent trail, and people within your bubble will absolutely smell you. The notes on this are pear, juniper, pink pepper, cinnamon, tuberose, rose, leather, ylang ylang, moss, patchouli, and amber. And we re-smelled this right before we started filming, and one thing that we really noticed was that this was a pretty big tuberose in this fragrance. And I don't know about you, but tuberose is not my favorite note.
No.
Admittedly.
No.
It's not something that I gravitate towards or reach for, but in this, it is blended so well.
Perfection.
Yeah, I feel like you don't get... It's not like a heady or andalic white floral. It is more of like adds a creaminess to the fragrance. And
it's not a jammy rose either. It's not very jammy. It's not very sweet. But is it bordering on a green type of rose?
I think that there is a bit of a jamminess, and there's also a bit of a green rose. So it's kind of right down the middle there. But the fragrance is gorgeous. This also feels like a fragrance that you would wear on a night out with friends. It's not overly formal, although it could absolutely venture into that formal territory. If you got like a wedding or some kind of a black tie event, this would be great. But it would also work if you're going out to a nice dinner with some friends. This is really nice. I get a lot of the tuberose. There's definitely a spiciness from the pink pepper. I think there's saffron in here as well. No, there's not saffron. Oh, there's cinnamon. That's what I'm getting at.
That's what you're getting, yeah.
Cinnamon definitely adds this kind of effect. I do almost pick up a saffron-esque feel to it. There is leather in here listed, so it might be coming from that as well. But overall, a really beautiful rose that I don't feel like is typical.
No, it's not typical at all. And I want to go back to the saffron for just a second, because I know when some people mention saffron, we're thinking BR540.
Yeah. That's not this
That's
at all.
not this at all.
No.
Don't get that mistaken.
This is a little more, not that Baccarat Rouge 540 isn't grown. It smells great. It smells
great.
Elegant. It's beautiful. But this kind of has a bit of more of an edgy quality to it.
That's grown up.
Yeah, this is a little bit more on the grown up side of things. If you're a woman out there, this is a CEO type fragrance. Like this is a boss kind of a fragrance. Very regal, very sophisticated, smells very rich. Really loving Siberian Rose. It is something that I would wear. So this could have gone into the unisex category, but I do feel like it leans
a little bit more feminine.
a little bit more feminine, especially that big tuberose in there. It's just very creamy and classy and would smell amazing on a woman. So first up in the women's category is Siberian Rose. All right, and last but absolutely
not least
at
all
on this feminine list.
So good.
It is so good. It is one of the newer releases from Fragrance Du Bois. I am talking, of course, about Siren. Cherry is having a moment in fragrance. You guys have probably noticed that. We've definitely noticed that.
Yeah.
A lot of cherry fragrances coming out.
Like lots of cherry.
Tom Ford did it, and then it just took the industry, I feel like, by storm. It's all personal preference, right? But to me, this is my favorite cherry fragrance that I have ever smelled. This does not have any of that kind of like medicinal or like cough medicine kind of cherry, or even like a car freshener kind of cherry, which some people pick up on in other cherry fragrances. Either cough medicine or like a car freshener, like a cherry ice or
cherry
something.
cola.
Yeah, something like that. This is not that at all. This is, I get kind of almost two kinds of cherry out of this. So I get a little bit of like a very tart and natural cherry, but I also pick up on like a sweeter, almost maraschino cherry kind of a vibe. But the notes in the middle, I'll actually just say the notes so people can get an idea of how this might smell if you haven't smelled it. So the notes are cherry, pepper, lactones, oud, incense, benzoin, cypriol oil, nargamatha, labdanum, and moss. I think what I love, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, my favorite aspect of this fragrance is that there is oud in the middle of the fragrance.
Yes.
Which as you know, I'm sure, oud is normally a base note. But in this, it's actually in the middle of the fragrance. So you get hit with a woody, dark, smoky cherry right when you spray it. It's milky from the lactones, very lactonic, and then the cypriol oil in the base adds to that smoky quality that I think is also brought on by the oud, but that just amps it up. This again, even though it comes in a pink bottle, I think could be worn by a man. I've worn it. I think it's spectacular.
Okay. I will be completely honest with you. I literally do not like cherry as a note in fragrance. Until Siren.
Yes, I kind of felt that the same way.
I don't, forgive me, Tom Ford, I don't like Tom Ford Lost Cherry or Electric Cherry or whatever the other cherry fragrance is. All the cherries, I do not like them. Except this. I mean, there's something different about this. It's a lot more wearable. It's not overly medicinal or sweet or...
It's balanced perfectly.
It's balanced. I mean, this is just...
And that's what I love about, some of my favorite fragrances are fragrances that have some contrast to them. And I think this does that perfectly. You get the sweetness from the cherry, from things like benzoin, so there's like this sweet, ambery, resinous kind of a quality to it. But you get that gorgeous, luscious cherry at the top, and then it's met in contrast with the oud and the cypriol oil. This is a fantastic fragrance. This is also something I could see in time usurping a fragrance like Baccarat Rouge 540 amongst women.
Absolutely.
If you're a man or a woman out there and you have yet to smell Siren, if you like cherry, you must try this. If you've been kind of opposed to cherry in fragrance, like maybe we have, you have to try this. Because this is done unlike any other cherry fragrance on the market. Hyper long lasting. It's something that I'm just pretty blown away by.
I will ask Fragrance Du Bois to put the marketing behind this fragrance so you can usurp BR 540.
Yes.
Because I want this more.
Yes.
I want this more.
This I feel like has that big compliment factor like BR 540. Very long lasting, very well projecting. Like if you're gonna leave an insane scent trail and if people are in your vicinity, they're going to smell you. This is going to work wonders in the fall and winter. I cannot wait. You can wear it all year round. I really think that. But in fall and winter, this is going to shine. And this is Siren by Fragrance Du Bois. And that is it, guys. That is our list. It's kind of our little buying guide for Fragrance Du Bois. 2 masculine, 2 feminine, and 2 unisex fragrances. But you'll have to let us know, what do you like from Fragrance Du Bois? Do you own any? What have you smelled? Have you smelled any of these? Would love to hear your thoughts. Leave some comments down below so we can get a conversation started. And Ken, thank you so much for joining us for this, hopefully first of many.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I always love traveling around to see perfumeries, and you have a wonderful shop here in Nashville.
Thank you, man.
Everybody who is in Nashville, who needs to come down to Nashville, if you're in the area, you got to come to Refinery Fragrances.
Thank you, brother. Yes, we would love to meet you. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you in another video very soon.